Hi. I don't know how this episode's gonna go. I know what I want to talk about, and I've been avoiding confronting myself about it. Though, as some of you may have known from recent episodes, I am now living on my own, all alone. Pardon me. I've been alone for about 3 weeks now, a little over 3 weeks. I mean, living all on my own. I have a 2-story place, and I've been making adjustments to the location. I've kind of been using the customizing my house to be my house. I've changed a lot of things, sometimes unnecessarily, just so that something feels different, so that something feels new. And sometimes, I'll move my furniture around, even in my office or my bedroom, especially, before I moved out. I would do it a lot more. I would rearrange my space because it would keep things kind of fresh and it wouldn't change too much. It's all still relatively the same. It's just in a new spot. Like, everything's still there. Like, my desk is here. I got my bedroom, my bed, and I just move things around every now and then to make it feel fresh. But I kind of used it as an escape this time. I guess a little bit more backstory for those of you who might be, don't keep up to with the series all that much. Which, hey, I don't blame you. That's totally fine. I'm trying to figure where I should even start. First of all, does that... Okay, no, so they have to be in the furnace, I guess. I'm gonna make some bricks. And I'm going to build a little thing out in the ocean. Kind of artistic, a very artistic build I have in mind, but I don't think I'm gonna talk much about it. I'm gonna let it speak for itself. So I just got over... Okay. I used to live with my parents, and moved out. I forget exactly what age, but I'm pretty sure it was in 2020. It was late 2020 that I moved out, and I moved into this new place. Well, not really new. This is a place that has kind of been moving owners within the family, and I moved in with my sister. I'm just gonna collect some clay. Yeah, I gotta go do that. But I moved in with my sister because she had some issues with her old roommates and whatnot. I'm gonna get too much into that. I also want to make sure I don't talk too much about personal details regarding my family or my ex. But she was looking for someone to move in, and I had just graduated high school. And I had gotten my degrees in precision machining that I will never use, as I've discussed previously. Yeah, okay. We don't need to be this dramatic. But I moved in, I think October of 2020, something like that. And around that same time, I also got a new job as a chimney sweep, as you would probably also know from some of my previous stories. Pardon me. That was a lot of change at one time, and I am autistic. I'm gonna turn down the weather volume real quick, because it's a bit loud right now. But I am autistic, and change is something that I do not take very kindly to. I am very much so scared of change. I can handle little doses of change, but like, okay, a little anecdote from my childhood. My family would oftentimes go snowboarding. I live in Colorado, and occasionally we would go into the mountains to snow. Like my mother had bought everyone, pardon me, I bought everyone, snowboards, skis for some of them, but I was never really into it, and I really hated it. And my mom would oftentimes go very sporadically. And if there was a plan, it was, even, I mean, even nowadays in my family, it's common that if anyone makes a plan, we think we tell everyone else, but we don't actually tell anyone else. It's kind of funny, but when it comes to me, I really don't like that because, again, my autism, and that's like last minute changes. I like to stick to a schedule, and if that schedule is interrupted in any way or manner, then yeah, I mean, I'm not happy. I'm more anxious and stressed throughout the day because, I wasn't prepared to do something like that. But because it was my mom and I was living with her at the time, I'd have to do it. And, I was bitchy about it sometimes, as any kid would be, forcing to do something that they don't want to do. But, that's like I really don't like change. And when I moved in here, it was a lot of change all at once. Also, I'm not going to get too muddy on the dates, but then, I met a girl. I thought I liked her. And she, again, I don't want to get into too many specifics, but eventually, things happened, and we decided to try it out. We went on a couple dates, and thought it was love and all that. But about a year after we started dating, she moved in, and so then it was me, my sister, and my girlfriend at the time. And that was good. That was good. I don't know. Life was progressing in a way that I hadn't expected, and I was okay with it. It was like I have a relationship. I'm not living with my parents anymore, and at the time, I kind of wanted to move out anyway. I was pretty excited to move on and do something else. I was taking in the change a lot more willingly than I think anyone had anticipated. Even myself, I was kind of surprised. But then some time passed, and our neighbor had some issues, very personal issues, but they pretty much had to sell their house and move. And my sister ended up buying the place. So she told me, like, hey, I'm gonna move out in like a couple months, something like that, and it'll just be you and your girlfriend. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was 50-50 on it. Part of me really didn't want it to happen because it's a lot of change, but that also opens up more like customizability within my own home, right? But like I didn't really make any creative decisions in our home. I kind of left it to my girlfriend. She would decide what she wanted from the play, like how each room would change, what we would buy, how we would decorate it. And, I'll admit it. I mean, sorry, the other part of it is that I would be the one to put it all together. I made some renovations, spent a lot of my own money, repainting some areas and repairing some parts that have been, kind of ignored for years. And we got the house looking really good. But a lot of the decorative decisions were made by her, and her tastes are way different than mine. And at the time I was really cool with it. I really didn't. It did not bother me. I didn't mind it at all. And then about a few months later, we had a very serious discussion, and I'm not going to get into what exactly was discussed, but pretty much we both came to the sad conclusion that it wasn't going to work between us. It was mutual, And it was sad. Again, I'm trying to refrain from getting too into specifics, because I promised her that I wouldn't talk about specifics, but, I really want to make sure people know that, like, she didn't break up with me. It was a mutual thing. It was a discussion, and we realized together that staying together for any longer and potentially getting married would only hurt both of us going forward. And that was a very rough night. I remember I called my friend's Thom and just, cried over the phone about it. And it was a hard time for me. Ultimately, I am still glad it happened, but now I'm kind of like, I don't want to say facing the repercussion for it, but you learn more and more about who you are, the more things that you do. And I've learned that I either need to be much more careful with my relationships, or maybe I shouldn't have them. I don't know if I'm capable of being in a relationship. And I know, like, Stone has told me before that, you don't go looking for anyone, they just kind of show up. But, like, I'm in a position where I don't know if someone can even show up. I don't go outside, I stay inside, and, I can't go outside. I have very bad allergies that make it so that if I do go outside for extended periods of time, I suffer. I've pretty much burned all my social bridges. Some just being natural, people move on. Others being, I maybe said some things I shouldn't have. I'm sure we've all had moments like that, and you regret those, but, you kind of, sometimes you try to mend those bridges, but, in school I wasn't necessarily the most popular kid. Throughout elementary and middle school, I was very much so the kid that was picked on a lot. I need more dirt. And, I throughout those years in school, I learned to just kind of keep to myself, because who I wasn't accepted. Whether that be because of autistic tendencies, or just what I liked, or who I hung around. I noticed the pattern that, people didn't like me, and even when switching schools, the same patterns would emerge. Like I kind of wrote about that in one of my songs. Moving schools didn't really change anything. So, was the problem me? I don't know. But, pardon me. I lost my train of thought. Give me 1 second. Yeah, fuck, what was I doing? What am I doing, man? I'm gonna go from this bridge and then out. But yeah, I pretty much learned to keep to myself in high school, and high school went pretty well, aside from all, like, the actual schoolwork that I obviously didn't like, because who the fuck does? Why is it making me do this? I don't want my wings to be expanded. Ay. Or actually does help. All right, cool. Pardon me. Yeah, sorry, I'm really trying to remember where I was at, the point that I was getting to. Yeah, in high school, I didn't really make many connections. I had my friend group, but the friend group that I had was only really there. I hung out with those people because they were there. They were at school, and we had similar senses of humor, but I don't know if it ever actually went past that. I think we had a vague, some of my friends in school had a vague interest in doing YouTube, but I mean, it was clear none of them were nearly as passionate about it as I was. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Well, they had other interests, and that is totally fine. I'm not trying to like blame them for anything for any of that. Some of them may even watch this, and I would bet that they would agree. I was and am still borderline obsessed with YouTube and content creation and animation, and they would sometimes align with that, but more often than not, it would be they would be partaking in activities and concerts and stuff that I wouldn't ever do. Pardon me. And by the time that we weren't in school together anymore, and I went on to college, and they went on to do their own separate things. Some of us tried hanging out, but then we realized when we were hanging out like solo, we wouldn't really actually do anything. There was nothing to do, because we didn't really have any common interests. So, I don't really have friends like that anymore. And then, as I said earlier, sometimes things happen, situations arise, and eventually you say things that you may regret in the future and burn more bridges. So at this point, I don't really know if I have any friends in real life at this point. I have met some animator friends in real life, but they do not live close. It is a bit of a drive to meet some of them. But then, one of them even came into my DMs recently saying like, "Hey, I'm free for a bit actually. You want to hang out?" And I was like, I'm gonna be busy." And pretty much just said maybe, but probably not. And then we never continued off of that discussion, and I'm pretty sure that they're not busy anymore. But an opportunity was right there, but then I didn't take it. I actively pushed it away. So there's a part of me that wants to be alone, but then for the last few weeks, especially, ever since I've been living alone, it's like suffocating. It's very lonely. I knew it was going to be lonely, and I knew I was going to not really like it. I think I was mostly anxious of the change, and I was hopeful that once I started living alone for a bit, I would learn to like it. Unfortunately, I don't quite like it. It's lonely, obviously, but what else are you really gonna do? I don't know. What can I do? This is a very depressing episode, but I feel like I need to talk about it, and this just feels like the best way for me to do this. It's getting very, very personal today, but I hope you all understand. I'm going to go to sleep real quick so I can pass the night. But yeah, then so we broke up the day after Thanksgiving, actually. Not Thanksgiving, sorry. We broke up the day after Valentine's Day. So it has been about a year, a little over a year now, since we broke up. And we at first I was like, what, even if this isn't working out, we're still friends. I want to make sure that's very clear. Like we don't dislike each other. We realized that a romantic long-term relationship was not the best idea for the two of us. But we still do hang out. I'd say she is probably the outside of my family. There's like Pie Man, and then there's my ex. And I still even hesitate calling her my ex because it's so mean, calling someone an ex. I don't know. I'd rather call her a friend. I'm just gonna call her a friend. But it's her and Pie Man. Some people that are farther away, but I'm clearly not in the mood to, hey, I'm not itching to hang out with them. Even if I enjoy talking with them online, like being in person, because my thing is I don't know what to do if I were to hang out in person with anybody. There was VidCon, of course, but that's entirely different because we're all there for VidCon, and I made some really great connections and some really good friends because of that. but all of those connections are not in Colorado. So I think I'm gonna put cobble first. I do a layer of cobble. Yeah. Really? I can't use it? That's stupid. Even when you think, okay, well, I guess now I'm not. Okay, anyway. Bah humbug. I'm getting distracted. Pardon me. Sorry. Da 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 da. You know. But yeah, we eventually started talking about her moving out and her doing her own thing for a bit. I don't know. Now that it's like my sister isn't here, because like okay, I understand that a lot of people, when they move out, for quite a lot of people, they move out alone and they live on their own for a bit. And I know that's, probably very suffocating for those people as well, but I know what I'm feeling isn't special, is what I'm saying. I know what I'm feeling is what a lot of people probably feel when they start living alone. I don't know. It's like I'm not trying to build such a sob story like, oh, woe is me. I guess I'm just being transparent because like I can't continue this series without addressing it because like the last few episodes have probably ended in a very depressing and lonely tone. And I feel like not addressing it just wouldn't be doing the right thing, as I guess what I'm telling myself. Yeah. Build myself a brick structure. But living alone has really made it so that I'm just in my own thoughts. And even when my friend was living here, up until just a few weeks ago, it's not like I would be talking to them every single day, but it's the presence, It's them being there. And, if you want to talk to them, they're there. They're available. They're reachable. And now they still are, but it's through texting and calling, and I've never been a big fan of that, if I'm being honest. I hate texting people and I hate calling people. Even with my own family, it is a rarity for me to text and call them, and yeah, it is sad to say and admit, but it's true. I don't know. I'm not a fan of. I don't know. I think I tend to push people away quite a bit. Now that I think about it, because like I don't hang out with people in person, obviously, but then, the only option that I leave is for people to hang out with me on Discord. Because I'm active in voice chats, but now my friends are getting lives and they're doing school and getting jobs, and as I've said before, that's saddening to me because it's making me realize that they're not always like this stability that I thought I had is not there. And things are going to change. And of course, we're still going to be friends. Like, that's not going to change. But they're going to get more busy, and later in life, they'll probably find someone who they want to spend their time with, and they won't be able to spend as much time on Discord hanging out with friends and animating and playing games. What I'm doing, like, I know people nag on me for being quote-unquote old, but I am a pretty young guy. At the time of recording this, I'm 25. I'm about to turn 26, and in internet terms, that is old. I am very old, but as far as life goes, I still got a long life ahead of me. But I don't know how I'm gonna spend it, because I don't do anything outside, and I don't want to do anything outside, and I can't do anything outside. A part of me thinks that it's like, yeah, every now and then I'll have doubts that I actually have allergies as bad as I think I do, and then I'll try going outside more, and then I start, finding it hard to breathe more often, and being extremely congested more frequently. And it's just like a kick in the butt reminder, being like, nope, nope, this is very real. The consequences of you going outside are sad, but they are very present. And come the winter, it is better, but it is not solved, because those trees don't go away. They're just not producing pollen, but you're still allergic to the trees. So it's, you're not going to escape it, even if you want to. And recently I've been, trying to not take. I'm not a big fan of drugs. I tend to. I have tried a lot of different drugs to help with the congestion, to make living more bearable, but I don't like to. I hate taking drugs. It feels gross, and then recently my eye has started twitching, and then that gets me thinking like, oh, it's the drugs doing it, so now I gotta like get off the drugs, even though in all reality it's probably the stress doing that. I've been going through a really rough time lately. There's always reasonable explanations to health concerns, but I don't know. Yeah, I've been trying to stay off of those for a bit, and especially since I'm in the winter, I can kind of get away with it. But I know once the summer comes back, I'm going to be right back on them, and then I'm just concerned that it's going to, continue to get worse. Because, like, it's not even a thing that, like, I can learn to live with it, because it's constantly changing. And by changing, it's just getting worse. So, I mean, what can I do if I'm stuck inside? I mean, I can't go out and do anything. Am I expected to find a relationship in these kinds of conditions? Because I want one. I've experienced it, and while it wasn't perfect and there were definitely issues, I still liked it. But I also don't want to waste anyone else's time. Because as I've said before, I don't want to do to her what I don't want to do to anyone else what I did to her. And I feel like I kind of wasted not just our time, but I wasted her time. I don't know what life has in store for me. The problem is I'm addicted to my work. I'm essentially married to my work, and there's little to no room for anyone else, including my family. And I realize how sad that is, but this is what gives me joy. And the other thing that could give me joy, it's Christmas in June all over again. I've mentioned it a few times before, but AJR has a song called Christmas in June. I know they're not the most widely liked band. I don't care. I really enjoy their work. And Christmas in June especially speaks to me. Because, you have two great things in your life and not enough time for both of them. You have a great relationship and a great career, but this career means more to me, but I don't want to ruin another relationship. But I want a relationship, but I don't want to sacrifice the time that is needed to make that relationship healthy and make it last. My creative free time is very valuable to me. And I think the only way I'd be able to find anything that works is if I find someone else that that is as obsessed with work as I am, and is also as obsessed with the same things that I am. So like, and then okay, so here's where it narrows down even further, because then the potential partner pool is within the community I'm already in, which is global and online, and that's already not a great start for a relationship. But that's the pool that I'm in. But now I can't trust any relationship that comes. I can't. This community has ruined any chance to make any genuine connection with more people. And I know that's such a doomer perspective on it, but like, obviously, you can go out and talk to people in the community and make more friends. But put yourself in my shoes, where I've really shot myself in the foot. Now I've become such a large figure within the community. I do the Dojo Cast. I host all these massive collaborations that like no one else does. Everyone knows of me at this point. I'm even getting recognized for my work in Alan Becker, which, normally is just, being a project lead, and I don't really have much creative input on anything, but then Alan's writing me into these things, like the ad read, and then I was Mr. Sale. I think I more volunteered to be Mr. Sale that one time for the ABTV bumper. But then he wrote me into the ad, and I was pretty excited about that. I was like, huh, that's cool. That's weird. This isn't something that you often get to do. So I was taking that in strides. But like looking back on it, like that's probably that's ruined any chance for me to grow genuine connections with other people in the community, because I'm just going to be seen as a celebrity head. And I used to join dojo Discord voice chats all the time, and I really do miss those voice chats where I'd be able to just join and talk and hang out and meet new people and make new friends. But now every time I join VC, I have to be faced with Hatena 360. What are you doing here? Wait, guys, look, it's Hatena 360. And while of course I appreciate it and I don't take it for granted, I try not to. A lot of people would kill to be in the position that I'm in, but like, it's not great. I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't want to sound ungrateful for what I have. I know what I have is something that so many people would kill to have. And I may appear ungrateful for it. I like the opportunities that this career and community has given me, but it's destroyed any means of a future connection. I can't go outside. I'm not interested in anything outside of stick figures at the moment. And the only other opportunity I get to talk to other people is at VidCon, which is once a year. It's also really expensive to go. Man, I'm just complaining a lot. I really don't like complaining, but this is what this series is about. I'm learning to get more comfortable with talking about myself. And yeah. But I can't make any more connections in this community. Like, I'm pretty much locked into who's already popular in the community. And then I also have to worry about, like, oh, have they done anything in the past that's gonna, get them in trouble and, get them canceled? Should I even associate with these people? That sucks. That's even a thing I have to start thinking about at all. Like, God, that's awful. Fuck, man. Having to think about protecting your public reputation, such a gross thing, but it is a reality. Here we go. Here's some clay. I don't know what to do. I feel alone and stuck, and I used to love thinking about my future, but now I'm scared to think about that. Because, I'd always be thinking about all the cool things that'll happen in the future, and, now some of those cool things have happened, and some of the other things that I want to experience just aren't really viable options anymore. Or I've just realized that I don't like it. Like I've said before, like, I used to want to be popular, and now that I've experienced what it's like, not to such an extreme degree, but like, fame is fame, it changes you. And I've realized I really don't want it. But now that I'm here, like, it's in order to do what I want to do with my life and my creativity, I kind of have to put myself in this predicament where I'm known at a larger scale. And if I want to get to the scale that, like, if I want to make Gravity, I'm gonna have to become extremely well known, and I'm so scared of that. Because it's just gonna be further isolating. It's gonna be increasing the scale and size of the problem that I am already facing. Because when you get a lot of attention online, it's not always the best. You know, I've had to think about the possibility of me getting, what's the term? Swatted. You know, I know that if I get big enough, that's going to happen, and that's a terrifying thing to think about. It's probably the ugliest side of being an influencer or creator online that you could think of. It's horrible, and I can only imagine that celebrities go through the same thing as well. But like, people who stream also are much more likely to have that happen to them. But I want to be. I want to leave something behind that's remarkable. I don't want to just leave. This is the one that I've looted before, right? Yeah, it is. I don't want to just create bare bones content and make a living off of shit that I'm being pressured to constantly push out. Like Garrett's been talking recently on his other channel. Been talking about, you know, he's been kind of like burnt out on shorts, and he's ran out of ideas for shorts. And to me, like, I'm not gonna criticize. You know, people get different things out of this line of work, and I'm not gonna say that what does and does not work for him, will and will not work for me. But like, you know what? Sorry, no. Let me rephrase that. What does work for him might work for him. He might be okay with that, and that's totally fine. And if he eventually wants to do more, you know, I'm totally down to support that as well. I know he's going to be watching this. I really just want to make it seem like I'm not criticizing the fact that anyone does shorts. That's ridiculous. No, but it's you know, that's like one angle of making a career for yourself online, is pumping out content as fast as possible. And in doing that, you also suffocate any opportunity to be genuinely creative and work with other people in a meaningful fashion. And now I feel like the only friends I can make are people who are already popular, because they get it. You know, the reason that popular people don't make smaller friends often is because the bigger you get, the harder that is to achieve. Because as much as it sucks to say, they just want, like, most of the time it feels like they want something from you. They want to, like if you can't make a genuine connection anymore because people are going to be so tainted by the vision of being your friend, and nothing more. And now I'm getting into a time in my career, in the line of work that I have chosen, where the only friends I can make are people who get it. People who are also popular, because then they're not, you know, they don't have anything to really gain. You know, that might open like future opportunities for collaborations, of course, but like, we're all in the same shit. We're all doing the same thing. Oh, what the hell? Hey. So, and then, you know, filter that again through me wanting to try and find a partner who I could spend, you know, quite a bit of my life with. You know, my friends aren't going to be super available forever. So, who is going to be there when I need them? I mean, I'm not trying to say that they're not going to be there when I need them. They, of course, will. I'm not saying that these friendships are going to end, but like the way that I'm using these friendships right now is potentially unhealthy, because I am online 24/7, 365 days a year. I live and breathe on Discord, because again, if I go outside, it just gets really uncomfortable and suffocating, literally. Trouble breathing is not a fun activity. It's, you know, I'm just going to do some of this. Yeah. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just complaining, but I've been in my head quite a bit for the last few weeks and, you know, longer, but now that I'm alone and my ex-partner has moved out, it's only become more and more real. You know, it's really sinking in how lonely I'm about to be. And that's sad. Yeah. I don't know what to do, is the thing. Because I usually like being able to talk out loud and admit some things to myself, because then it'll give me some realization of it'll give me some kind of answer. Usually if I'm in a really deep predicament in my personal life, I don't like to just cower away and hide, because I can't stop thinking about it, and that's going to drive me crazy. So whenever I encounter a personal issue, I always sit down and think about it. But I can't do that with this one, because there's no answer. At least I can't find the answer, if there is any. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this build, because it's a lot of brick, and I didn't realize how much time it would take to get so many bricks. Damn it. Yeah. I guess I can start looking in other places for clay. It's got to be like big clay deposits. Head out over here to my brick structure. This might not even be a build that I finish in one episode, and you know, that's okay. I think I gotta be okay with that fact. If I'm not able to make a real relationship work, I'm pretty much just going to be a workaholic. I mean, I already am a workaholic, but I'm going to be completely sunk into my work and make no room for any option of a personal life. You know, again, I want to make something that's worthwhile out there, and in order to do so, I'll probably end up making a lot of sacrifices. Again, to make gravity, it's, you know, I have to get a fair amount of clout. Hate that phrase, but that is what it is. I have to get a lot of attention for people to look at me and think, yeah, I trust this guy with my money to make a stick figure movie. That sounds crazy, but it's essentially the plan. Isn't that silly? That's my plan. Fuck, man. But like, I've tried to make the movie fully independently without any proper funding, but that's just not gonna work. Man. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. How fun, how fun. Life isn't all bad for me. I'm very fortunate to be in the spot that I'm in, and I'm aware of that, but I mean, I'd be fake and lying if I didn't admit that I'm wanting more. And I know that I'm going to be wanting more. But, can I get more? Can I find what I want? Can I truly be happy anymore? I don't know. I mean, this is all very doomer, but I feel like in time there might be someone that I find, and they'll be like perfect, and then we can live happily together. But it feels like a fool's dream. It feels like that's wishing for something that's not gonna happen, because it can't happen. Yeah. waste these, and then I just need to focus on getting a bunch of clay. I guess that's just what I gotta do. Golly. I wonder how many people have already clicked off the episode because it's too depressing. I guess if you've reached this far, we're only 40 minutes into this thing. Thanks, I guess. Thanks for listening to me ramble and be sad, and be depressed. No, I mean, I still have motivation to make a lot of cool things, and the whole fame thing isn't deterring me too much from wanting to make the big things that I want to make. But, I mean, I'm not happy. I wish there was a way to get, all these projects properly funded and made without having to face the repercussions of mass online attention. But that's the line of work that I'm in. That's the line of work that I've chosen to do what I want to do. That's kind of the best way to do it, because the other option is participating in the incredibly toxic industry that treats its workers just so disgustingly. This is getting a little off topic, but I'm also very passionate about the conditions of the entertainment industry at the moment and how abusive and unhealthy it is. It is toxic. I encourage anyone interested in the line of work that is animation or film to maybe look into it a little further and see if you're willing to forgive the major downsides that come with this line of work. Really do some research. Look into it. Game dev is also just as bad. I know, it sucks that a lot of the creative spaces are just incredibly toxic and predatory. And they don't... There's very few people who are... Okay, there is a glimmer of hope. Glitch Productions, from as far as I'm aware, is very ethical in their work practices. I haven't heard anything bad, though I also haven't really talked to any of their animators. I'd love to get to talk to them, because I'd love to hear what they have to say about working with the teams that they're in. Well, independent studios are much less likely to have to fall into the same traps that the larger industry has to fall into, because and there's probably other reasons for this, but at least one of the biggest reasons that I have concurred is investors, people who hold stocks in these entertainment companies. They need to be able to see things constantly being pushed out at such incredible rates, whereas in indie content, that's of course you can still have investors in an independent business, but they're independent. They're much smaller. There's not as many people willing to give them that kind of money, the kind of money that they need. So they don't have to appease those shareholders and all those evil people. There's no deadlines that you have to stick. It's one of the big things that I love about working with Alan is I am in a position where I am able to not only encourage, but I can create a positive work environment. I'm extremely grateful to be in this position on the team where I'm aware of all of the bad things that are happening in the larger industry, and I'm able to steer us away from that direction. And I'm willing to make changes to make things better for us. And I can only hope that independent animation is the future of entertainment, or independent anything. Everything is the future of entertainment. Because it's so much more ethical, and the people behind these works are treated fairly. And it's insane that that's not a common thing. Like that's a pipe dream, Oh, yeah. Got a little off topic there, but I feel what I had to say had merit, and maybe some people needed to hear it. I hope all the other indie studios for all corners of entertainment are treating everyone fairly and humanely. I think Glitch's business structure where they pilot a show, they fund one whole episode, and then they show that to everybody. And they gauge interest and see if they can pull funding from that kind of audience. It's very cool, I will say. And then they're not pressured to release episodes in a consistent amount of time. Okay, well, sure they are from their audience, of course. Like take Digital Circus, for example, or any of the other shows that they've greenlit but haven't yet fully produced because they're focusing on finishing Digital Circus. You know, they get pressure from fans to finish them quicker, but there's also a large number of people who understand why they take so long, because animation is expensive and time consuming, especially if you want to make something good. If you want something to just be pumped out for the sake of your consistent level of entertainment, then you are contributing to the very hostile industry. Not to, I'm not trying to put blame on the viewers, but I think if they had a better understanding of what people in this industry go through, they might chill out a little bit, you know? Yeah, I guess. Let me face inertia. Oh, that actually didn't damage me as much as I thought. Inertia. I've worn the same skinny jeans since I was 15. I have to sing it wrongly so that way I don't get copyrighted for melody. I've been working on the Stone collab. Pretty hard. This is kind of I haven't really touched it much today because I just kind of need a break from it for a little bit. Probably get back, knee deep and work on it tomorrow. But for now, I'm taking a moment to take it a personal day, I guess. I don't know. I'm playing Minecraft and talking about my personal issues to an audience that I guess is listening. I don't know. It feels wrong to talk about this sort of stuff and publish it online, but I mean, it feels right to me. I don't know. I can't really defend it. It might be cringy, and that's okay. I guess I can just sit here for a bit and wait for these to smelt. Pardon me. God, that gas is annoying. I guess I could just turn down friendly mobs quite a bit. There we go. La-di-da! Oh, man. Yeah, I'm very happy with the Stone collab. It'll be about 35, 36 minutes in length. It has a story attached to it, one that I'm pretty proud of, for it being as simple as it is. It's a good story, good message. I mean, Stone hasn't seen anything. I'm excited to see what he thinks. I want to make sure that he gets a very raw first reaction. I want to ask him if he can record himself, but that might be too much because he's, might not be in a position where he can just do that. But I would love to see his reaction if possible. But I hope it is successful in the way that Bing Bong Ball was successful, because then the collab will be pushed out to more people, and then his GoFundMe will be promoted to more people, and that's more eyes and more people that will potentially donate to Stone to help get him back on his feet. Oh my god! And his whole situation has been so depressing. I really thought it would just stop at his house got flooded and he has to repair it, and in my best dreams, everything would just be fixed, and then he'd be able to come back real quick. It has been quite a while. I also understand that was a very pie in the sky dream of mine. For him to get everything fixed so soon, so quickly. But, I mean, pardon me. if you've seen the updates on his GoFundMe, it is like one thing after another. Like terrible shit just keeps happening to this guy. Like I thought it would have like the biggest thing would have been like, oh, your house got flooded, you're gonna have to like repair a bunch of stuff, but like that's it. Like you'll be able to catch up with it all, and then it'll all be done. But he keeps me updated personally in DMs, and every time that I get a message from him, I'm like scared to look at it because I know it's gonna be horrible news, and it always is. I don't know if there's been a single time since this has happened, since his house flooded, that I've gotten a good news update from him. It's always been us trying to like brainstorm different ways that we can fund his life at this point. Him and his family's life. I'm not gonna get into exactly the issues. I know that I know of more issues that he has not stated publicly, and it is not my responsibility to tell you what's going on in his life. That is up. He will tell you what he wants to tell you. So if you want to know of all the hiccups that he's facing right now, he is updating the GoFundMe pretty much whenever he updates me. But I just get more details and more news, and it's always pretty damn sad, unfortunately. Go. That's 16 right there. I can try and pivot into talking about, try and get this to ending on a more positive note, because I think I've said everything that I've kind of had on my mind about the whole living alone. Okay, I actually do want to say one more thing. It's just kind of an experience thing. One thing, it was kind of like a divorce in a weird way, like not an actual divorce, obviously, but it was like my friend leaving a few weeks ago felt like a divorce because we had to go around the house a couple times and be like, okay, what are you taking and what am I taking and what am I keeping? Because again, she made all of the creative decision, like all of the decisions of what would be placed where in the house, and then at that point, like I was anticipating to make that long-term relationship even longer, and when I was making those renovations with her, I was in the mindset that like we're going to be living here for a long time and we're going to live here together, and I wanted it to be a place where we could feel like we're comfortable. And then not too long after we were finished, making our renovations and changes, we realized that it wasn't going to work out. And then I had realized that I had spent so much of my money and time and work and effort into decisions made by someone who wasn't going to be here anymore. So part of the last few weeks has been changing things to a state that feels more like me, but then it also feels a lot more lonely in doing so. The day that we were moving all of her stuff out, she took the couch because the couch did belong to her mother, in all fairness. I'm not angry about anything that she took. I don't want to make that seem like that's the case here at all. We both very easily and mutually agreed of what she could and could not take. And the couch was one of those. And, once, I had helped her move for a few hours that day. And then I came home, and after she had taken the last boxes home with her, and it was just me and my dog and an empty living room. And that's the moment when it really hit me. And that's when I started to really think about my future and what it could even be at this point. Because it's one thing to think about someone moving out and taking a lot of stuff. But then once you're there in a room that is just barren and filled with very few things, it's different, you know? I remember sitting on the staircase facing out to where the couch used to be, and it's just being like mostly a blank wood floor. And I just sat there for a while. I didn't know what to do. It was like destroying. It was really defeating for a moment. And then thankfully my sister, she called me because I had called her sometime the previous week asking if she wanted to get something to eat and just, hang out and talk. Because, compared to when we used to live together and now we don't really talk as much as we used to, obviously. And I was like, I just want to see how she's doing and I want to hang out. And she called at like the perfect time because I was just like sitting in the living room, like looking at everything that was gone and thinking to myself and getting real sad. And she called me and God, I'm getting really emotional now. My apologies. But she was like, hey, I just wanted to like, see when we wanted to like schedule a dinner or something. Because we both know that I like planning something in advance. So she was trying to help plan something for the next week that we would be able to do together, which was very nice, very sweet of her. But I was like, can we do it tonight? Like in like a couple hours? Can we do that like today, please? And then I went over to her place. We watched Slimesicle. I showed her Slimesicle's videos for the first time, and she really enjoyed it. I think we even started to watch something from Markiplier as well. I got her into Markiplier years ago when I first moved in here. And we ordered Panda Express. And it was a really nice moment on a very sad day. But ultimately, I did have to go back and face it again. I don't think I did anything else that day. I think I just hid in my office because the office that I'm in right now hasn't really changed at all. Damn. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, the office hasn't changed at all. So like being in here feels secure. You know? It has not changed, and it was not affected by my friends' I guess creative decisions within the house. The office just kind of stayed a me thing. So it does feel pretty comfortable in here. Whoa, what is going on with my frames? Whoa. Is this translating? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Oh, that's bad. What is going on? Okay. Anyway, I forgot where I was. Yeah, I was talking about my sister and how we had Panda Express together, and that was very sweet of her, and I appreciate her doing that. Oh my God, this is miserable. Oh, okay. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but it's like my screen's like jittering. Why is it doing that? Hang on, I gotta check my task manager real quick. What is going on? Okay, I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. Now that I'm playing it, what's my GPU doing? Is the issue even here anymore? The fuck? I don't know what just happened, but I guess it's done. Okay. Anyway, I've said, I still don't have a couch in the living room. I eventually will. I do have a plan for it. I already know roughly when it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna get too far into it, but the living room still does not have a couch. I kind of moved things around in the kitchen a little awkwardly, but I still really like how it's laid out. And then you go. Huzzah. Yes. Damn. So much time just to build a simple fucking brick cube. It'll be more than a cube, obviously, but I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but I feel like it'll be pretty obvious what it represents when it's done. And it might not be this episode, might be next episode. Because, I mean, I'm still going to be feeling this way. That's the sad thing, is like I'm used to being able to like sit down and have a conversation with myself to really talk and think it through. This is not one of those. I can't just talk myself into a different perspective because I know what I want and I know I can't have it. At least not the way I'm living currently. But I don't know if there is another way to live. At least I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice the way that I live to do it. So, anyway, I'm going to talk about some of the projects and things that I want to do, because the other side of this is now I have pretty much all the free time in the world to create whatever I want to make. I could do anything. Like, literally anything. Okay, maybe not literally anything, but I could do anything. I can create whatever I want, but that's another problem. I always want to create a wide variety of things. I have so many passions that I want to fulfill, but I've recently had to like take a step back and look at all of the projects that I have, and I've had to decide what I'm going to shelve, what I'm going to prioritize, and what I'm going to cancel, like what I'm just flat out not doing. Pardon me. Like, for example, the June archive video that I was working on, the recording for that, turns out the video could be like at least an hour long, and I don't, like, that's not the kind of content that I want to focus on right now, but I still want to make that video in the future, so I have shelved it, and by the time it releases, it'll probably be pretty different. Anyway. But like I've had to like take a step back and think about what I actually want to work on right now, and my number one priority, what I want to work on right now, are collabs. Number 2 on that list is Shame Story. Number 3 on that list is my album, my musical album. Pardon me. God, I can't wait to finish the album, but like, that is such a low priority. For it being my third priority, it's still a pretty low priority thing, right? God, I already know what every track on the album is going to be, and I can't wait to make the rest of them. I have partially and fully finished, I think, 6 so far. 2 of them I'm not really happy with. One of them, for sure, I'm going to pretty much completely redo, because I hate how it sounds right now. There's one that really needs a lot of work, and then there's 2 that need a lot of work, maybe completely reworked. But there's like 3 that I'm very happy with, and that's the first 2 tracks of the album and the ending of the album. The ending of the album still needs a lot of work, but like even how it is right now, I'm so happy with it. It is a project that means a lot to me. It talks about a lot of the things that really only apply to myself. It is an album that I am making for myself, but I want everyone else to be able to hear it. But I know once it releases, while I want to see what people think about it, I don't care what they actually think. I just kind of want to see like, I'm interested to see like what people will choose as like what's what is the most popular track, like what's most people's favorites, which ones people really don't like, which ones they hate, which ones they're like, it's all right. I'm interested to see if people have hot takes about it. I'm interested for the discussion about the album. I don't care what people actually think about the album, because I'm making this thing just for me. I have already listened to a lot of the mostly finished tracks myself, like hundreds of times. I love them. They sound so cool. I'm not trying to hype it up. I'm just telling you that I feel really passionately about it. And now that I don't have a relationship, I'm able to put a lot more time into it. Ironically, I haven't had any time to be able to work on it because I've been working on collabs a lot, especially. But, you know, and even before the album, I want to continue Shane's story. I took a big step back from the production of Shane's story. And I really sat down and thought to myself, like, okay, I there was an original plan, but I do not like where that plan was going. It was a shitty story, very anticlimactic ending. People who understood like deep cuts of my history would really get it, and that's not fair to most of the audience. That'd be very anticlimactic for 90% of the audience. So, I took a step back and I was like, I also didn't really know how to story write when I was writing the initial ending. Um, and I had really only written the ending. I knew what the ending was going to be. I didn't know what anything else was going to be. Um, and so after Shame Story 5 and after the whole Shame X Kantiana thing started becoming a huge meme and then it blew out of proportion in a way I'm not going to get into because I don't want to call anyone out. But it did reach a point where I was not a big fan of it for a while. And that's around the time that I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop working on Shame Story for a bit. Now that I understand much better how to, I'm still not perfect. I'm not a perfect story writer, but I'm going to get better the more stories that I do write. And the story that I have for Shame Story now is so good. I'm so excited for it, man. It's got, I don't want to spoil anything, but it has actual stakes. It's got an actual theme. I have a really good ending that takes elements from the old ending and just makes it even fucking better. And it makes it make sense and makes it so that it will appeal to a larger general audience and not just isolate it into a very specific few people. I'm so looking forward to it. Shame Story 6, I already have it fully planned out. The animatic has been started. I have a guest animator on it, and they've already finished their work, and I'm so excited to show you what they did. God, I'm getting so giddy. This is like such a 180 from the mood that I have been in for like this whole episode. And I hope it's happy to see and hear. Not like my life isn't all bad. I have many things to look forward to, but it's going to be very largely centered around my creativity, my creative free time is what I'm calling it. But oh my god, and I have so many other episodes of Shame Story that I'm so excited to do. But like I know I need to tackle it one at a time. I need to be able to properly. Okay, so I have like basic ideas for episodes, and I have a general idea of how many episodes I want there to be. There's a lot. There's a lot more than I thought there was going to be at first. The number I have in mind of episodes for Shame Story, and this is not official by any means, might be fewer, might be longer, is 14 total episodes, and I'm working on episode 6 right now. It's kind of shelved until I can finish RPS and my next collab. And my next collab not being Stone, it's going to be the one after RPS. Just felt like I had to specify that. I'm very excited. Oh my god, I can't. Okay, now I'm getting too excited because now I can't keep my thoughts in order. I'm getting too passionate, and I'm all over the place. But Shame Story, oh my god, Shame Story is going to be so good. I am so excited for you all to see what I have planned for it. It is a really good story. It's got a really, I don't know if I'd say it's a fun theme, but it's a really, pardon me, I'd say it's a really interesting theme. And I've shared like a few of the episode drafts with some of my friends in a group chat, and they all seem like, whoa, this is kind of cool. I don't want to put words in their mouths, but they were like there's one episode that I'm gonna have to be very careful with how I write it, because if I write it poorly, like that's not gonna go very well for me. I don't want to spoil what it's about, but like I plan on touching, getting into some pretty touchy subjects with Shame Story. I want it to mean something. That's the thing. I don't want to just make Shame Story another Duel-esque series. I don't want it to just be another Gilded Guy ripoff. I want this series to mean something. I want really serious things to happen, and I want to show you how these characters deal with those things and teach you something. I want to be a real storyteller. I want to show you valuable lessons to take from every episode. And that's what gets me so excited now. Like I have such a newfound excitement for Shame Story. Originally, it was just to make another stick figure series that might be successful and might generate fan art. Now I don't care about any of that. I just want to tell you a great story, and I'm so excited. But it's going to take so long to get there, and it's also going to be extremely unprofitable because I'm using music that I cannot get the license to. Oh God, what am I doing? This is a horrible business decision, but I want to do it. This story is so good, and I'm gonna do it. Oh my god. Okay. God, this is such a 180 from the mood that I've been in for this entire episode. Okay. Ah, man. Let me see how this looks from like back here. I think I need to bring it up like maybe another 2 more blocks. So yeah, this is gonna take a while. I'm gonna go see how far we are on bricks. And then probably go look for more clay. Yay! Wahoo! But then, even before Shame's story, I guess I could say I'm going to be prioritizing these 50-50, Shame story and collabs. Collabs are obviously the most successful thing that I'm doing, but Shame story's success also is surprising to me, in a way. It is generally surprising because it's okay. Kind of not surprising because of Robbie's animations. Robbie24 made some animations with Shame and Katiana. They've gotten millions of views. And then there's a very weird graph on my analytics that shows exactly when that started to become popular. And then I did a poll a while ago on Twitter asking what people wanted to see more of. And I think it was collabs, Shame story, music, and maybe something else. I forget what the last thing was, if there was another thing. And I was expecting the biggest thing to be collabs. I was wrong. People were really excited to see Shame's story. Shame's story was number 1. I think it was like 50% Shame's story, and then like the other 3 were like pretty much equal. I mean, the last one was probably closer to like 5-10%, but like the others were like a good 20, 20 maybe 30. But it's so cool. I'm happy that people are looking forward to Shame's story, but like it's not going to be the same. It is going to be a very different series. It's not connected to Dojo Duels. It might take place in Sierre, but that's as close as we're going to get. I am not doing duels anymore. I think I talked about this way back in my my own episode on Dojo Cast, but I'm not doing duels anymore because I just don't like them. I don't like the system, and I don't like what it represents. Doesn't mean that I don't support them at all. I think they're a great outlet for a lot of people to create. But I also really have been sitting here while the bricks have been done cooking. Wow, that's not as many as I thought. Okay, I gotta go looking for more clay. Yerp. We'll start looking down here. Hello. What the fuck? Hi. Have you been down here this whole time? What? That's crazy. Hey, man. Can I, like... I just want to kill you, not the skeleton. Okay. What? He had to have been there, like, the whole series, right? Because I'm pretty sure that happened on, like, episode 2 or 3. What the hell? That's kind of cool, actually. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so people apparently really want to see Shame's story, but it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. It's going to be very different. Maybe not too different. I might, like, ease it into a new direction so it's not, like, too jarring of a transition, but, like, it's going to be different. And I'm very happy with how different it's going to be. And then there's collabs. I'm also going to start implementing major story elements into my collabs. And yes, they will interweave with each other. There will be a continuous story that you can track through my different collabs. Very similarly to the MCU. I know it feels like everything's got a cinematic universe now, but like I don't know, mine's gonna be really cool, you know. I'm very excited about the idea. RPS is I wouldn't say this is the official start. I'd say there are other collabs that will participate in the retroactively participate in the series. If you've been watching any of the production streams for RPS, then you will have seen the guy from Stuntman 3 in the very ending, the little old man, the hero, as I called him back then. His name is now Cut. This is his official name. But he takes place in RPS as the main antagonist. Yes, he's the antagonist. But then we also see the red guy from Big Ol' Sink Joint in there. The tie for Big Ol' Sink Joint isn't necessarily huge or meaningful, but it's more so to solidify the idea that other collabs are going to be included in this series, in the series of stories. And he's also there to help support the idea of like a Gumball-esque kind of universe where a lot of different kind of styles can clash and coexist. So yeah, the Stuntman series takes place in the same universe as RPS. Big Ol' Sink Joint also takes place in the same universe as the other two. As to how exactly those work, I do have a current. Pardon me. Oh my god. Oh, that was a monstrous burp. I don't want to spoil exactly how these worlds are going to be intertwined. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Because I'm still partially figuring it out. But I know that I want these to be together. And the purpose of Big Ol' Sink Joint being in RPS is really to just establish the idea that, you know, other collabs are going to be involved in this universe. And they don't even necessarily have to be all just my collabs. I have talked to some other collab hosts to see if I can take and borrow some of their characters, but you probably won't see them in RPS. You might. You might as like a background character, like an extra, but at the moment they're not going to have much significance. They will just support the idea of, pardon me, of all these different kinds of characters coexisting in the same world, in the same universe. But I've already planned out, after RPS, I have 2 more collabs that will continue that story and finish it, and that will be the first arc. So there's RPS, and then the collab after that will be, I don't want to say if it's a sequel to any one of them in specific, because that might spoil a bit. But you're free. I welcome people to theorize whatever the fuck I have planned. I'm interested to see if people, how intrigued people get into the universe stories. But I'm excited for it. I'm really looking forward to what people think of it. Once RPS releases, that's by far going to be my favorite collab that I've released. Just because of like how ambitious this one has been and how far it has gone conceptually. I mean, it is practically an entire film. It's going to be like, I think it's going to be 15 minutes long, maybe an hour if something else happens, but it's a proper film at this point. It has a whole story, it has a beginning, middle, end, it has a core theme, and a really good lesson to teach. It has something substantive, I think that's substantive? Whatever. It has something good to say. And I think people will really enjoy it. Because I really enjoy it. And that means that everyone else has to enjoy it. Right. No, I hope everyone enjoys it, because I mean, if this one does not perform very well and people really don't like this universe idea, then that's going to be really upsetting. But like, I guess I'll have to stop, because I'm not going to put a lot of time and effort into something that's not really going to work. Like, there's the album, which I'm doing for myself, and there's the collabs, which I am partially doing for myself, but it is about the collabs are directly about the community. So if I am putting time and effort into things that people aren't interested in, they're not going to participate, and those collabs are no longer going to be successful. And I'm also kind of banking on collabs being my identity that will set me apart from all other creators on YouTube. Because while there are other people who can host collaborative projects, no one can do it like I can. That sounds very cocky, and like I'm blowing my own dick, but I mean, no one's gonna be able to. The only person who can do what I can do is Shab, and I know what he wants to do is very different from what I want to do. And I have massive respect for what Shab does and how he hosts his collabs. And I wish nothing but the best for him going forward, and I'm going to continue participating in his collabs going forward, because I swear, every single collab that he's going to make is going to be peak. He's already set the expectation, and the expectation is crazy. So I'm very much so looking forward to what Shab does. That being said, I really feel like he's the only one at the moment who can even challenge where I'm at with collabs. And that's like that's really just because people like the vision for successful collabs has not been fully realized. They are generally good at a base concept for a community on a community interactive level. But as for finding success online and building a career out of it, that has not been fully realized, not yet. So that is my plan, because that is a very unique skill set that I have, and I know how to do them well. I can make them very engaging. I can make them damn good, and now I'm learning how to put stories into them that people are going to care about. So I'm really banking on collabs being like my core identity, and then I'll still be doing a bunch of other stuff, like Shane's story and my music, of course. I'm still going to be doing streams, Dojo Cast, obviously. I'm going to keep doing. But yeah, I mean, collabs is kind of the identity that I'm going to try attaching my brand with, because again, like no one else is really doing it to the extent that like me and Shab are doing it. And then when RPS releases, like that's going to be the scope for RPS is so much bigger than TCAB or Beach Day, and that's not like to talk down to Shabani. Those are some of the best collaborations in modern day. Not even in modern day. Those are some of the best collaborations that I have ever seen. Period. And they really succeed at doing what they set out to do. Beach Day especially was able to do something that not a lot of collabs were able to do. I've already spoken about it to death in this series. I'm not going to talk too much else about it. But like, the thing I'm trying to say here is like, Shab, his collab, like just because my collabs, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. My collabs are going to be very unique. Only I can make the collabs that I want to make, and I'm not worried about anyone else being able to do what I can do, even Shab, because Shab is his own individual with his own creative sense and direction, and he's going to be able to make something that I can never create. It's a mutual thing. He's going to make things that only he can do. I'm going to make things that only I can do. And I think that's beautiful. I think it's awesome. And I really look forward to what Shab's doing next. God, I mean, he's hosting the Bubble Boy and the versus the Ick. And then after that, I think he's going to do TCAB 2. He's at least teased TCAB 2, so we know it's coming. But yeah. God, and I can't wait to dude, I have been telling my friends already know what my next collab is going to be after RPS, and I've been saying for like probably a year at this point that I cannot wait to finish RPS just so that I can start that one, because that one I'm so looking forward to. Finishing and releasing RPS at this point is a bit of a chore because it's the first time I'm doing something like this. Pardon me. And it's very experimental as far as collabs go, and I don't know. I think it'll be cool, and I think you all will enjoy it. Smiles. Yeah, but I can't wait to do the next one more. I mean, if I'm being fully honest, I am absolutely looking forward to the collab after RPS. And I'm being really careful with my words because, like, I feel like I'm so close to just accidentally slipping the name. But it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be really cool. I'm really excited for it. Oh, I can't wait for it. Oh, God, RPS is gonna be peak. In my eyes, it already is peak. When it releases, I hope the community really takes it and loves it and shows it appreciation. Damn it. Because I mean, if that one isn't successful, I mean, so it's one thing for it to be successful within the community. I need it to be successful outside of the community. I need it to be able to reach a much larger audience for me to consider continuing this. So like, if RPS really flops, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do another large story-based collab again. If I do, I'm going to have to really think about a different way to do it. but I'm really hopeful that RPS can deliver on what I want it to do. So, God. But like, I mean, I know that RPS is going to be extremely successful within the community, and people are going to be seeing it as its own like little event. That's not enough. It needs to be performing well even outside of the community. If it can perform similarly to say like Bing Bong Ball or DGT, DGT being Doja's Got Talent. I just instinctively use the acronym because it's easier to say. But it needs to perform at the same level as those two. And the more that I host collabs, the more that seems possible. But the way, I've talked about this before, but the way that RPS is structured fundamentally is like doomed to perform poorly, unfortunately. But I'm hopeful that it will reach the right audience and that it will keep pushing it out to the right people. So, I'm also kind of anxious on how well the Stone collab will perform, because this one I'm also taking a pretty big risk on it, performance-wise, and I'm hopeful that it's not going to tank its performance. I don't think it will, but I would not be surprised if it did tank. I really don't want it to, because again, the whole point of the Stone collab is to help Stone with the funding of his home. So, you know, obviously I want it to perform very well, but I'm not going to be very surprised if it doesn't do well. I am taking a fairly big risk with it. At the very least, if it doesn't perform well on my channel, it could have a second life on the Dojo channel. We'll see. Yeah. So, yeah. I feel like I've ran out of things to say. So I might bring this episode to a close. But thank you all for watching this one. Roller coaster of emotions. Been mostly sad and obviously me getting very excited about my own ideas. I hope that was entertaining to you as well. I hope that was a good payoff. I hope that was a good reward for you sitting through all the depressing bullshit. But feel free to let me know what you think down in the comments. I appreciate you guys watching as always. I might go ahead and place these bricks once these stop cooking. And then I'll probably call it there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know this is a very serious episode. I'm hoping that this doesn't become a normal thing. Probably won't. But, I mean, I can't control my life. I can in some way, but, you know, life happens is the point. So, yeah. That's where I'm going to end this thing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let's go place down 17 more blocks. I don't have any more fireworks. So we're just gonna run. So it'll take a little bit longer, but that's okay. Right? Come on. Alright. Here we go. We'll run off this way. Come on. The moment I place this last block, the episode's just gonna cut. It's just gonna cut off, so goodbye, I guess. Yes. Alright.